Hi everybody, Al Bernstein here for the Boxing Channel. Now elsewhere on our channel you can see a video blog I did concerning Gennady Golovkin and his proposed fight with Nobuhiro Ishida. I was critical of that fight, that's probably putting it mildly. I actually called it a stupid fight, language I actually seldom use. As it turns out, I received after that a very respectful and informational email from Gennady Golovkin's manager, Tom Loeffler, who is, in fact, a longtime associate and friend of mine in the world of boxing, and a very straight shooter in the sport, and he's managed many great boxers. And so his note to me was in the vein of everything he does, straightforward and respectful. And because of that, and because it was very informational, I want to read portions of his email to you because it kind of rebuts some of the things that I said in my blog. And in the effort of fairness, I think it's only fair that I should read some portions of this email to you. And I have it right here in my hand. And here's part of what he says. He says, I have to say in my 20-plus years of working with fighters, I've never had so many problems trying to get opponents to fight a world champion as he has for Gennady Golovkin. He said, if you remember, Golovkin was contracted to fight Dmitry Pirog last September, only to have Pirog pull out with a back injury. I mentioned that Pirog would be a good opponent for him, but clearly that ship sailed. Hassan Endam, who's a very good fighter who had a world championship that Peter Quillen won from him, was the mandatory and WBA interim champion last year and chose to vacate his title rather than fighting Golovkin. Then he points out that Danny Gale was ordered by the WBA to fight Golovkin and was aware of his obligation before he went and fought Sturm and chose to have the title vacated rather than fight him. Gale beat Sturm and won the IBF world title. So clearly Danny Gale apparently wasn't that interested in fighting Golovkin. He said Macklin, another fine middleweight, was unavailable for a fight. He said Peter Quillen, and it's true, who beat Endam, is set to fight in April, so he was unavailable for this fight. And he points out that Sergio Martinez is, of course, defending his title, and Julio Cesar Chavez, who is waiting for a return match with Martinez. Neither of them were available. So Tom does a pretty good job of running down all the reasons why some of the major fighters in the middleweight division either were not available or had already previously shown an unwillingness to fight Golovkin. So that's pretty impressive stuff in terms of explaining why they were not available. He also points out that Ishida, who did lose to Paul Williams in his fight, had never been down before, and though he's fought most of his fights at 154, he also fought Pirog in a loss. And he felt that most fighters would just wait around for the big fight that Golovkin is looking for, and he fights on HBO. So in between, he said for a non-HBO fight, he feels the Ishida fight is more than acceptable. And so I wanted to present Tom's viewpoint, and I think he had some very, very persuasive arguments in terms of who's willing to fight Gennady Golovkin and who isn't. Having said all that, I would still like to see Golovkin in against a top middleweight before he is ordained as the best middleweight in the world or as the most dangerous. However, he's clearly a big punching middleweight who is very exciting to watch, and his manager Tom Loeffler did a pretty good job of detailing why he is in fact fighting Ishida as this kind of interim fight before a major fight. So hopefully I stated Tom's viewpoint appropriately, and I appreciate the fact that he had that kind of dialogue with me, and I did not want to have those facts go unnoticed as it relates to my previous video. So Tom, thank you for the information, and I wanted to pass it on to all the fight fans that watch the Boxing Channel.